The problem with approaching subjects such as education in these videos that I do is that there is always huge amount of things left to say. It's difficult to approach such complex subjects only out of memory. But if I recall well, if memory does not fail, I remember that I've talked about the content of the educational programs, but I failed to mention the method of teaching, which is also very important. Of course, we all know that normally the best studied methods, because it's scientific, it's not like based on hunches or hints. The best proven methods to create a whole human being, complete human being, they are known, they are studied, but they are not put in practice, or they are, let's say, they are scarcely put in practice. They're only little niche schools that use them. And we in Portugal, as well as other countries in Europe, because I've visited at least one of these schools in Europe that is really committed to produce a whole human being, complete human being, not just a cog for the machine, a human being who is sensitive, who thinks, who can evaluate rationally in any kind of situation, and who is trained to learn all throughout his life, and to adopt and to absorb new ideas, and to be autonomous and to be competent in what he does, without having to go through a stressful process, right? And of course this is also lacking. It would be a big step if we would change the curriculums to be broad spectrum curriculums and apply them to everyone. It would be in my opinion, of course, this is only my opinion, bear this in mind. I'm not pretending to substitute any expert on the matter. But concerning the methods, there is one school, and it's funny how they call it it's a pilot. It's like a test school. I mean test because it's where a new system is tested, but it has been so for decades now. I don't recall exactly the year when it opened, and it opened in very precarious installations, containers used as rooms, and I remember when because I've approached the topic this morning of have been studying education before in my life, and I remember when we visited lots of schools, lots of primary schools, and the typical environment of a primary school is this noise you get when you have pupils not inside the classroom, and sometimes even inside the classroom is this characteristic noise, background noise of kids shouting, and it makes a characteristic environment, right? And when I approached this school, both the Portuguese version and the Finnish version, which is the other one that I visited, same kind, same methods, same philosophy, you immediately notice the difference. It's when you approach the gates, there is silence. There is silence, but you see activity. It's not like, because in normal schools everyone is at classroom more or less at the same time, and there is more or less quiet, every corridor is empty. And in these schools, and then when everyone comes out at the same time, the walls tremble with the kids wanting to get out of the classroom all at the same time. But in these schools you have activity. You see people, both teachers and students, moving around, going about their lives, which I found immediately interesting. Was the first approach. And then I'm not going to describe it into depth because then it becomes boring, but I can just say that the whole school is a community. It's not like you have the powers vertically orientated like in many institutions, most of institutions and companies, by the way, enterprises. It's like you have certain different degrees of responsibility, but the school works as a whole, and every child there included, it's an active participant in the school management and decision making, to put it very synthetically. That's the short version of it. So, but I give you just a couple of examples. For example, of course you have also normal lessons in classroom. There are no doors in the classrooms. Sometimes you hear low volume music out of there while there are lessons. And you have, for example, when they have meetings, councils, you have everyone sitting at the council from very early age, the youngest years to the oldest teacher, and everyone has a saying. Everyone is used to the procedures, bookkeeping. You know, when you have every meeting, you have to keep a written record of every meeting. Everyone is by turn responsible for redacting this. It's just an example. And then you have different groups of kids specialized in many chores needed in the school, just organizing all the objects and spaces, and you see the kids involved in this. And one of the things the kids could volunteer for was to guide visits to the school to groups such as the one I was in, visiting that school. So we had a guided tour by an 8-year-old girl that she resembled and she seemed more responsible than most of the adults you meet every day on the street. And she knew what she was talking about. This is what surprised me. She knew exactly what she was. You could see that she was completely involved in that institution, involved with responsibility. And this makes all the difference, right? This makes all the difference. You have the institutions that typically they represent the power, and you're just a subject there. You're there, you have to follow the rules, go through that. You have no saying whatsoever in the organization of the school. We're talking about primary school kids. And these kids start at a very early age to learn by doing. In everyday life, to be responsible, to learn how to do things, to learn the methods, to think for themselves, to choose. Of course, they have the teachers there. You can ask, what are the teachers doing there? Yeah, well, they are there to orientate them. They are there to facilitate the process. They're called tutors. And they, for example, when a child shows interest in a certain subject, you can use this subject and learn a different broad spectrum of other subjects in the process. I don't know, when you want to research about something about biology or some animal or something, then you have to learn the scientific method of research. You have to write a paper, and in the meantime you are training all these skills, right? While you are thinking about them. So this is just a very short example of what education could be. And it does work, it's proven that it works. But this pilot school, as I was saying, a pilot school, a test school, it's been pilot forever, and I think it will remain pilot. Because I can just imagine the day if the whole education system, if this would be put in practice in the whole education system, in all the state schools. I mean, you would see a real revolution. You would see real change. You would see real citizens. And you would see a world that is only for us now an utopia. You would see utopia come true. Yeah. And I wonder why it's not implemented. I think many of us know the answer. I mean, what good, what purpose would these new citizens serve for the powers that be? Right? They wouldn't be of any use to this classical, traditional type of managing and running stuff, right? So that's the main thing. So I wanted to leave that note. If I remember something else, you know, I'm around. Okay, just an end note that I try to remember to give every video now. If you like the videos, if you think the channel has a very short reach, please help it and enhance this reach. Tell to your friends. Tell them to check it out. Share on some kind of social media that you feel adequate to share. I'll be very happy. And but if you don't, I'll keep doing them just the same. So I really hope I see you on the next one.